Welcome to Makers International, a podcast of makers from around the world, talking with makers from around the world. Here's Jamie Page, Steve Twidell, Chris Cute, and now your host, Richard Morley.
Yum, 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 yum. Happy birthday, Robbie.
Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good times, whatever time it is, and whatever you're eating. Join with me this evening, Mr. Chris Cute.
How's it going?
Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. That's a bit weird because the iPad just came through. Mr. Jamie Page.
Alvin, Simon, Theodore.
We're Steve Chipmunks anyway.
And Steve, my little chipmunk, how are you?
Yeah. Evening.
It's like that character from the Fast Show, isn't he? With the one that sneezed and the one that coughed, and Steve's the one in the shed. Anyway, let's crack on. As we haven't got a guest with us tonight because nobody wanted to talk to us, we thought we'd talk about Brexit and politics, not because we want to, just because it kind of gets a reaction and people listen and listen views and stuff.
We're not talking about that. Sorry, we're not.
I'm only kidding, folks, but the numbers just plummet. What we're talking about this evening apparently is following the crowd, going your own way, all the fads and funky things that people seem to come up with, follow, do, and all the rest of it. But before we go into all of that,
it's a Fleetwood Mac song, isn't it?
It could well be. I'm not really much.
Go your own way.
You can go your own way. Go your own way.
Well, it looks like 4 viewers already have, so we better actually get on with the show.
Yeah.
So, toodle-oos. This week's shouts and thank yous go to Andy from AH Bespoke, Tim Sway, Steve from SK Crafts. I'll get it right in a second. So I just start again and pretend that never happened, and then when he does the edit, no. Also Pam Harris, Lau Woodcrafts, Curious Maker Dan, Nicomandroid. That's such a cool name, and apparently my very own Hippie Noodle apparently made a comment. It was probably something along the lines of "Shut up, do the washing," or "Why haven't you built a step yet?" or something. I don't actually. What?
Hashtag build the bloody noodle step, Richard.
No idea. If you what's going on? I've lost it now. I'm going. We've got sponsors. Our sponsors are Glyn from Yorkshire Grit, Chad from Mancrafting, Pam from Highland Boxes, and also Steve from Harneal Media. Go to the website, Makers International Podcast .com/sponsors, and Jamie puts like stuff on there about all that sort of stuff, and I don't have anything to do with it. So what are we talking about, Chris? Random list of questions. What have we got? Please help.
I just want to say that, after we're well into 2 years of doing this podcast, and I admire how professional we have become.
There's going to be people watching going,
"You're welcome."
Drunk or what?
It's like I look at where we were and I look at where we are now, and I just want to shoot myself. It's like,
Joe, come back.
Hey,
somebody lend this podcast some friggin' credence, for Christ's sake. God, whatever. I mean, we're just here to screw around anyway, right? So I guess it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that's why we haven't got like proper corporate big name sponsors and stuff like
probably
that.
Why we're not very popular either, but that's okay too. It's like, because if we were serious and we were doing this professionally, I probably wouldn't be here, because I did that and been there, done that.
Absolutely.
Listener questions. I don't have any other than my own question, which is, what are we talking about tonight? Because I don't have a clue.
Well, I kind of mentioned it in our little chat during the week when I panicked and someone said we didn't have a guest, and I thought actually I think it was more to do with what I was getting up to at the time, because I've been seeing a lot of like the social media posts about. I don't want to say the same old stuff, because it kind of makes it sound like I'm sort of belittling people, and that's genuinely not the case. But has anybody else noticed in their feeds from lots of makers? I mean, it might be just the people that I follow, all doing very similar things.
Yeah, I
You know,
think
kind of the
Yeah,
river
people.
table. It's like a feed full of river tables, or two bits of wood joined together with epoxy. Call it what you like, and don't get in a lawsuit. I don't care what the label is, but do you know what I mean? It's like there seems to be these fads, and I've just noticed recently in my feed there's been several of them from lots of different people, and I've wondered what you guys thought of that, and whether you kind of go in with a follow the crowd, or do your own thing, or or what.
Well,
Yeah, I think.
Go,
Sorry,
Steve.
Chris.
Go.
I think a lot of it is because you're probably the same as me. You're in a lot of groups, and you're following the same kind. You're following people that are doing the same kind of thing that you're doing. So you will tend to see a lot of the same kind of stuff. But especially in the wood turning world, if something new appears, a lot of wood turners tend to want to jump on and do that and follow that, give that a go. I don't think it's copying as such. It's just, oh, that looks cool. I want to see, can I do that?
Yeah.
I suppose it depends on your mindset and how you do things.
Well, I think that I think that in the best of all of our worlds, we would like to, at the end of the day, have somebody write on our headstones that day that we were an inspiration. And so if you are inspired by something you see, and then you therefore want to go ahead and see if you can do it yourself, I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. And I think that explains a lot of the, somebody will come up with a really cool idea, and then everybody else would go look at it and go, you know what, I would like to tackle that. And then they do it, and then somebody else sees it and they do it, and then somebody else sees it and they do it, and then that kind of trend fad falls away. I don't have a problem with that per se, because that's what we're here to do, is to inspire people to try these things. Even if they could be simple, they could be extremely difficult. Doesn't really matter. I guess the only issue I have with that is if somebody comes along after this has clearly been established as something that a lot of folks are trying out. And, let's be honest, a lot of these things that people do. I know. I just said do. A lot of these things that people do or attempt to do are basically skill builders. These are things that they're building their own skills with, and they look at it and they tackle it, and they think, hey, this, you know what? It's not an original idea. I can't do this and say that I did it, but it sure would be fun to try that and see if I can get the same results. My only problem with that is occasionally you get the out of the blue individual who does what is clearly everybody has always recognized is a trending kind of thing to do, and they're the ones that come on and pretend that they are the ones who invented it. Hey, look at this great thing that I thought of and did. When it's clear that at least 10 or 20 people that we're all familiar with have done or are attempting to do at the same time. And I think that just kind of speaks to some folks that are being kind of fake, if you know what I mean. That would be the only problem I have with it.
I think nowadays it's almost impossible to go into your workshop, make something that's not been done before. Do you know what I mean? It's almost impossible to make a bowl that's not going to look somewhat similar to another bowl.
Yeah,
you've really got to go out your way to put your own kind of twist on it, if you like.
You know how you can do that, and I don't know how well this translates into this world, because guys, I mean, even I've been doing YouTube for 3 years, and I'm still very much a newbie at this. The only way to put your own twist on something because trying to come up with something that's never been done before in the maker community is incredibly hard. And if you wait to release a video or wait to do something until you have an idea that nobody else has ever thought of, you're going to maybe put out one video every 5 years, maybe every 10 years, depending on what the deal is. Because it's just, this ball has been rolling since the time of Jesus Christ. I mean, come on, let's be honest. He was a carpenter. So, I mean, it's very hard to come up with something that hasn't already been done before. The best way to make it original to you is for you to learn how to be yourself and to let other people see you be yourself, because there's only one you. It's a unique project when you do it. And it's different from Dave or Bob or Jill or June's project, because you did it and you put your twist on it, as far as either your personality, your type of filming, however you want to do it. And there should be no shame in doing what other people are doing, as long as you're not trying to duplicate
something that somebody else has done to a T. You know, don't be afraid to be yourself, because that is exactly what makes you unique. And if you turn your back on that, then you've turned your back on originality. And that's kind of, I think, what Steve was, because if you're just listening to this right now, this conversation came up earlier in the week. Steve and Jamie and Richard and I were talking about what we wanted to talk about this weekend, and Steve had come up with this topic and mentioned it. That's, you know, no, it's not his fault. I mean, I think it's a great conversation to have, but I think it's time to be honest with others, and not only that, be honest with yourself. So I mean, I'll let Steve take it from here, but that's kind of my thoughts on the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's another side to it too, to all of this, and that's honesty from the person that's making it and giving credit where credit's due as well.
Yes.
I mean, there's not enough credit given to original makers of items, in my opinion. Do you know, not in the making world. I mean, we're all a lovely bunch of people. We all get on and all that, but we can be real arseholes if we think that we've been shortchanged too. Do you know, I mean, I've seen so many arguments across social media saying, "Oh, you didn't come up with that. That was such and such idea. Why are you doing that?" And but there's no rules saying you can't copy somebody else's thing and change it and bend it and do it how your way. But it's a gentleman's agreement to actually say, listen, I was inspired by, or this was originally, yes, or I got the concept from for this and I added such and such. That's just a gentlemanly agreement that you should really take on and be more honest with, and say, hey, I was really inspired to make this piece. I've made it, I've done it, I'm happy, and I'm moving on now. Or I'm going to make shitloads of these because, funny enough, they're selling really well in my area, or blah, 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 you know? But give credit where credit's due, I think, and there should be more of that across social media, definitely.
No, I agree. I think if you look, I mean, look, Steve, I may watch a video that you've done, and you may do something that, well, no, but you know what I'm saying. I may go back a year and see a video that you did, and see you do something that I personally haven't seen done before, but you know that it has been done many, many, many times before. Well, I still can't refute the fact that I was inspired by you. And so that's where the credit should be given. It's like, I'm going to attempt to do this, and I want to, you know, I just need to mention that Steve Twidell's video of blah, 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 whatever the deal was, inspired me to give this a go myself, and I'm going to try to put my own twist on it. There's no harm in doing that. So I agree as far as giving credit where credit is due. My problem is once I do that, Steve, I think it would be wrong for you to go, yes, all that credit belongs to me for anybody who ever does that. Do you follow me?
Yes. Yeah, okay. Exactly. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But the other thing is, we all put videos out to show people how we do stuff and to say, off you go and have a try of that. And I mean, none of us are saying,
yes,
there's not a maker that I can think of that has said, don't make this. I'm making this. I'm showing you how to make it. But if you copy it, I'm going to come down on you like a ton of bricks. There's no maker out there that I know of anyway. And if there is, and I don't want to know it.
You have, Richard? You have?
Yeah.
Oh, you have had that?
Yeah, I have had that. I literally, just before Christmas, I think it was sort of October time, not long after Uncle Pete got his Prusa i3 3D printer. It kind of inspired me to go back and reinstall Fusion and have another crack at it, because it wasn't probably 12 months before that I'd been basically pulling my hair out trying to learn Fusion. And I think I've been watching Instagram TV, and there was this guy. He's a professional maker, and he's got this product that he actually took to market and that people use. And it's a really it's a unique thing, but it's a very simple shape. And I took the shape and I used the shape to make a model in Fusion. And I actually put it up as an Instagram story. It's like, reinstalled this, I've got this shape and and somebody in the community made a comment and blah, blah, blah. One thing led to another. And I actually tagged this guy in his kind of firm, if you will, his handle on Instagram, and said, yeah, I'm kind of working on this. that's very similar to this. And it just kicked off and got really, I mean, one thing led to another, and I've got people messaging me like privately on Instagram going, "Oh, how much are you selling them for?" It's like, I'm not selling them. I've no interest in selling them. I'm too lazy. I can't be asked. You cannot buy it. And I'm not joking. I kid you not. One guy, he messaged me back and goes, "Oh, good. I was just testing you because, you know, I think what you're doing is really wrong. And you've just shown everyone how simple it is to do this thing. And I'm not going to follow you anymore because of that." I was like, really? You're not going to follow me because of this? Fine, go. There's the door. I'm literally, I don't care. And
wait a minute. If I don't care if it's an Instagram post or a story, or if it's a video on YouTube, if you are out there and you are actually showing people how to make something that ends up being a product at the end of your video, if you don't want people to go out and try it for themselves and make that product, then why are you taking the time to explain to them how to make it? It makes no freaking sense. I'm sorry.
You might have misunderstood me. So the thing that I was sort of modeling, as it were, the shape that I was modeling.
Right. Well, that was put out there for a public. Otherwise, you never would have had it, right? Or was it something that was secretly shared to you in an envelope and delivered by MI6? Just to kind of explain this for the American in the room, Chris, there is a product that you can purchase for money, real cash coin. Yeah. Okay.
And you can buy it to do the job that it's designed and sold for to do.
Okay.
And I don't own one. I've never had one in my hand. I only seen pictures and people using them and little video clips and stuff like that. So I don't know what the dimensions are or anything like that. It's literally just a shape. So right. Just pick a shape that is not particularly complicated in the cross section, and I took that shape and I worked out how to use Fusion to replicate the shape of whatever dimensions.
Okay.
So and I was like, oh, there's a 3D model. Actually, it didn't take me long, and I'm just kind of learning the software and all the rest of it. What it didn't go into, and Steve, you'll probably wet your trousers about this, it doesn't tell you how long it takes after that to then get it to print and to work and to be successful and blah 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 blah. Yeah. So it'll kind of, I get these messages, how much for sale, blah, 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 blah. No. Anyway, further on the line, I ended up having like an hour and a half conversation with this guy, with me saying, you know, I've no intention of selling this. I'm not at all. This is like way got out of hand. And the whole is just saying, but you've basically you've made my product. You've made this thing. You've made my thing, haven't you? I don't know. And it's just going on round and round in circles. And it went from, do you know what? I'll just delete the post and you can go on your merry little way. To just what? And you got so insane out of hand. And I guess we're going down a little rabbit hole tangent here. But just to say to Steve, that has happened. I think that does happen. And I kind of actually, you know, I guess like 3-4 months later, I kind of see it from his point of view, because he's probably thinking, oh no, I don't know this guy. He's saying he's not, but he might sell it. And I might have competition and I don't want that. And that I can understand, but I'm lazy. I can't be bothered with going down the post office to send.
I understand.
3D printed things. Anyway, so I know it does happen and all the rest of it. What kind of I was going to say before Steve said everyone's really thing is when people do that and take it to market. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? To say,
yep,
this and this and this. And I know, Stephen, you and I have both been sort of chatting the last, month or so about a couple of things. And we were chatting about your product savers for before Christmas, excuse me. And they're awesome. They're great. They work fantastic. But how much of a pain are they? That whole product thing. What is it's a pain, isn't it?
Yes. To develop them, to print them, to make them and all that. It is a pain. Now, I've got another side of it as well, because I literally a week after I put the product savers out on market, I got a really nice email from a guy. He got in touch with me and he said, "Hi, Steve, I'm a maker, I'm blah, 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 blah. And I've just given you a donation of the price of the product saver. I'm not ordering one. But is it okay now that I've paid that if I go ahead and make one myself? I have a 3D printer myself. Is it okay if I go ahead and print one off myself?" And I said, that's not a problem at all. You've been honest. You've got in touch with me. You've said you'd really like one. You don't want to pay the shipping and all that. You've got the machine there that can print it. go ahead and make it. You've been honest and you've come up front, and that's all I ask, and that's all any designer or creator of a particular product. If you're making something to sell and it is genuinely your idea that you've come up with, then the onus should be on people to be honest and say, I want one, I've got a printer, or I've got a lathe, or I've got a machine shop, I want to make that product myself. Is okay? Ask the permission, and I'm sure that most people will say, yeah, go ahead and do it. That's not a problem. Small time people, I mean, I'm not on about big companies that are knocking out millions and millions of dollars, pound, euros worth of merchandise, because they will come down on your ass if you copy their product.
Oh yeah,
because they can. Because they can.
Let me ask you a question, because there's a well-known gentleman in the community who is a member of the Maybe podcast, Joel Crawford. Joel has a absolutely stunning design for a knife block that he came up with that he sells a lot of. Every year. He it's a major source of income for him, because this design that he came up with and the way he marketed it, he spent all the money, and look, he owns this design. Is it wrong from here's the question, and this is the line I think we need to cross. Would it be wrong for me as a homeowner to see that, knowing that I have the woodworking skills to make one myself, to duplicate that and for myself, for my own home use? That's one thing. Is it a different story if I make one, duplicate it, and put it up on YouTube for people to see, and then take all the glory for it? Do you follow me? Yeah. I think as a private homeowner, somebody who's not looking to get any credit, not looking to get any views, any kind, I'm not looking to sell it, but I mean, I want the adulation or something stupid like that. I think for me to go out and promote the fact that, hey, I just copied Joel's design is wrong. I think that is wrong. But I think that if I look at that product, as I can see that product and how it is made, I know I could make one if I wanted one. For me to just go ahead and do that without anybody knowing, except possibly my wife and my son and my family, I think that's okay. I mean, because I have that skill set to do it. I'm not going to limit my skill set to make things that I would like, okay? But I think I should probably limit my skill set when it comes to putting it up for somebody else's entertainment or adulation. I think that if that is not my design, then I really don't have a right to do it, unless I'm doing it with either Joel's permission or taking a different twist on it and turning the Trojan into, I don't know, Medusa or something, you know, I mean, or a hand. Because I've actually had an idea to make a knife block that looks like a hand. The fingers were going to be the knives sticking out of it. And I'll give this idea away if everyone wants to try it. But it was going to be the helping hand for kitchens. I have no intention of selling it. I just thought it would be kind of a cool idea to make a knife block that like this, that when the knives were put into it, it looks like this. You know, I just thought
one missing. I think that's already been done. I think Keith Decent's made that already.
Oh, well, then forget it. So yeah, well, then I'll make one that goes, hey, what's up? Or, you know, if I'm a New Yorker,
just having a little look through the chat here, and Steve Moonshine Meltworks made an interesting point, a very valid point as well, and absolutely right. He says there's a big difference between making something that's on trend and making something that's a direct copy of someone else's work. And there's
exactly what I was just talking about. Exactly.
And there's a big sliding scale between the two. Oh, yes. My headphones have just come out. Hang on.
No, I agree with you, and that's exactly what I was just talking about.
One of the good people to have input on this would be that. Do you remember when the fidget spinner craze was all a trend?
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a guy in the community called Ray Pena, and he was doing them like high end fidget spinners that had like 9 gears on it and all of the bearings and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these ones went like viral, and his ones actually started getting reproduced like in bulk over in China. And when me and Eloy were doing the Mad Maker show, we had him talking about that on there, and they were he went over and saw them, and they were almost duplicated, almost to the T. But they were just made out of just some cheap crap, you know. Right. And there was basically nothing he could have done about it. You know,
well, that's kind of where Steve, the title of this show, and when we do re-release it on Wednesdays, is going to be "Do You Follow the Herd?" And that is what I'm talking about, because there was that fidget spinner craze. There's the other crazes that we've talked about and seen throughout the community over the years, and these aren't things that every day you're seeing a new person doing this. It's like they only run for what, several months, sometimes even longer.
Yeah.
Sometimes to the point where you're sick of even saying fidget spinner because it got to the point with those. I'm sorry, guys, it did. But it's do you guys follow the herd, or do you ignore the herd and continue to do your own thing, or do you see the herd and decide to go in the opposite direction? I think it's a valid question, because I think there's pluses to doing each, going with, staying the course, or going the opposite way. I don't know that we can define ourselves by one direction. I think that it kind of depends on what we're looking at as far as where the herd's headed.
Yeah, I don't go out my way to do anything for views. Like I wouldn't go and make a fidget spinner for views or anything like that. If I was going to do anything, I'd probably do it for fun.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't go and purposely go and duplicate someone's project for monetary gain, for example.
Exactly.
For fun, yeah, probably. Like if Steve was to make a goblet, or Mike Walk was to make a goblet, and I turn and say, I bet I could do that. I bet I could do it exactly
on
the same.
Scroll saw.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I could do that on a scroll saw. Do you know what I mean?
That's a very interesting point there, Jamie, about whether you want to or not. Because just in the turning world, you can see something and go, yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that. I wonder if I could do that, or maybe even, I can do better than that. And doing it out of interest, out of sheer curiosity. Yeah, why not? And if somebody contacted me because I turned a goblet and they were, that's my design, that was my idea, I'd be like, yeah, what of it? At the end of the day, what are you going to do? And my response, I think, would be dependent on their kind of contact. But say Jamie did a scroll saw of a tiger, for instance, and I went, I bet I could do better than that with a router, and I did. And then this guy contacted me and goes, you're just copying my idea. I'd be like, well, what of it? I mean, if you want to get really kind of pedantic about it, I guess it's like, what are you going to do? I've put the effort in and I've made this. I'm not pretending that it's yours. I'm not even necessarily pretending that it's my idea. It's just that I put the effort in and I did this, and I'm proud of what I've done. So if you don't like that fact, you can go and take this thing and put it somewhere where it won't receive any ultraviolet rays. That's kind of my response to that. And going back to the Instagram thing, another thing, kind of a branch to that, because this really got my back up. As a little tangent to that, there was another company that referred back, and I'll actually read what they think. Blah 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 blah.
That's a boring email.
It was pretty dull. We've got all the design protections and a ton of variations, etc., covered too. But great seeing more people enjoying 3D printing. Our product, blah blah blah, is this, that, and the other. And then they actually said here, we started out 3D printing them 2 years ago. And then they've gone into injection molding, and they're much stronger, and they're fantastic, and they're blah, blah, blah. And there's some links to some Amazon bits. And I was like, ooh. So I went and had a look, because they weren't really on my radar. And they'd actually said 2 years, right? Well, the thing that I printed had come off a website called Thingiverse. Yeah.
That was probably 3 years old.
You've preempted me here. Basically, it was back from about 2012. But I had a little dig around this company, and I found out that when you're a limited company in the UK, you can go to Companies House and you can find out when that company was registered, and you can find out when those designs were sent to the Intellectual Property Office and applied for design protection status and all the rest of it, and how much people paid and all that. And basically what they've done is very closely copied a lot of things that were on Thingiverse before and after. And they now have a company selling across Amazon, across eBay, got premises in Essex. And I could not resist replying to the effect that, so you're saying, basically, go and come up with your own idea. when your whole company and their catalogue of items relies on the fact that all these items are basically ripped off Thingiverse on a CC license for non-commercial use to anybody in the world, and they were there before your company was even registered to exist. Argue that one, my friend. How can you argue to me that you came up with the idea when it existed before your company did?
Yeah, help me out. I don't. That's back to the do you follow the herd type approach, and I think Steve from Moonshine Metalworks made a point, and this chat is moving so fast that I'm having a hard time saying it. And I think he kind of hits the nail on the head, kind of the way I look at this too, as far as things that are out there and trends that are going on. It's like he said, if the herd is doing something that he finds appealing, or inspiring, something that he looks at it and goes, wow, that's kind of cool, I might like to try that, then sure, he'll follow the herd, and there's no shame in that. He says, but I won't follow it for the sake of it, just because it's the in thing. It's because just because this seems to be the in thing, it doesn't mean that's why I'm going to go do it. The only reason why I'm doing it is because it interests me. And it's like, that's kind of cool. And I get that, because that's kind of, Steve, I think you've hit the nail on the head with that, buddy. Because I mean, I think that a lot of us look at that way. I mean, I see a lot of things that the herd is currently doing that I have no interest in doing whatsoever. And so therefore you'll never see my name attached to it, because I don't care. It's like, if I don't want to do it, then I don't care where the herd is going to go. Where the herd is running by, I'm going to grab a rocking chair and a beer and go, see you guys. It's one of those things. It's like, I'm just not interested. Have fun. Hope you guys enjoy it, but I'm just not part of the party.
I think it comes down to what kind of person you are. I think with social media, especially, if someone is going through the reams and reams and reams of material that's on Facebook, or say, or Instagram, and they see a particular item getting a lot of views and a lot of likes, and there's a conversation being struck up, and they're talking about it, and everyone's saying, wow, that is such a beautiful design, that's an amazing idea, where did you get the idea? Oh, it's your own idea. Wow, that's amazing, blah blah. And you see the conversation. It then depends on what sort of person you are. Do you want to go away and try that item because it looks amazing, and you want to see, do you have the skill sets to try it? Okay. Or are you the sort of person that is getting off on the response that it's getting on social media? So, right, I know I've got the skill set to make that item. I'm going to go away. I'm going to make exactly the same item. I'm going to change the color a little bit, and I'll put it up, and then I'll get all those hits and comments and likes, and I can absorb all that as the social media sponge,
in the hopes of my popularity being excelled. Yeah, because
you can kind of use that as a great example for Heath Knuckles' spheres.
Yeah.
There's loads and loads of people doing them.
And you know what? Yeah. I think that's fine that they're doing them, because you know what? I would love to be able to turn a perfect sphere, like I know Steve can, and I know Heath can. I would like to try that someday, but I don't think my first attempt at trying it, even if it was successful, I would film. It would be something I would do because I would want to check my own skills to see if I was capable of doing it. Now, once I knew that I was capable of doing it, if I could think of a different twist that maybe Steve or what other people that I have been exposed to haven't shown, then I might go there. When some things, here's the question, because when some things become so very prominent, especially within our community, you're talking about turning resin and wood spheres. When you marry resin and wood,
the hybrid,
and you turn it into a sphere. Most people that are in this community that we have will attribute that automatically to Heath Knuckles. And I'm not even saying that Heath is the first one who's ever done it, because I'm sure there has been a ton of people who have done it before him. But I mean, because we are aware of it's Heath, at that point in time, Steve, and in your opinion, do you think that it would be important for me to say I tried this or I was inspired to do this because of Heath? Or do you think I should just go ahead and put my own little twist on it and go ahead and put it out there? And where is the rub? I guess is because it's a very fine line, guys. I don't know where that line ends and where it begins. I guess is what I'm saying.
I'm going to give a couple of examples here. If Heath was the first person you saw do it, then Heath was the first person that inspired you.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, something that come up recently. Do you remember the project that Cole did, Cole Jackson, that he done the Texas Longhorn?
Yeah,
that project where he carved a skull. Right. Well, that was meant to be something else, and he said in the video it was meant to be a space thing, but it didn't turn out it turned out like a horn, so he made it into a Texas Longhorn. Well, he posted a little video on Instagram, and someone basically called him out and said, look, why didn't you give such and such person credit? Like, give credit where credit's due. And
did this person give birth to a Longhorn?
Credit where he said, give credit where credit's due. Like, this guy makes money on carving these sorts of skulls. And the fact of the matter is, Carl had never heard of the guy before.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But he had already given credit to two people who he knew did. So if you've never heard of the person before, how can he give credit?
No, I agree with you. I mean, you can't all of a sudden become aware if you're not aware. I mean, I get that. Yeah. I mean, I understand that just makes sense, and I think you should be forgiven for that. And I don't think that, because I'll be honest with you guys, all the videos I've done, in close to 3 years that I've been on YouTube, I don't think I've credited anybody with anything that I've ever done. And anything that I've ever done and put out on YouTube has absolutely been done by thousands of people before me. It's just because I don't know where to go back and say, hey, Job from back in Jesus's time is the first one who ever did this, so I want to credit him. I mean, how far do you freaking go with this? I mean, it's like, I understand if you're following the herd and something is trending, and if something is becoming very popular and you want to go, hey, I want to give that a go, and the first person you saw do it, if you want to give credit to that person, go, hey, this was inspired by so-and-so, and a lot of other people have done it prior, and I wanted to try to give it a go too, that's not a bad approach, but that's a very humble approach. And let's be honest, there are humble people out there who will do that. There are people who aren't so humble out there who won't do that. And I guess it's a personal thing as to where your nose all of a sudden gets out of joint about somebody's presence in social media or wherever it may be. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and on the same side of what Jamie was saying, famous and well-known people are only famous and well-known by the people that follow them.
True. Very true. Very true.
So, I mean, there's rock bands out there that I've never heard of. I've never heard of their music. I wouldn't know what they're singing. And I could go and hum a tune and someone would go, hey, that's such and such's tune. And I'd say, I've never heard of them. What are you talking about?
Right.
Do you know? So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. You might copy something
and not be aware
without even knowing you've done it.
Yeah. Well, I've done that a million times.
It's the way you respond to someone calling you out, I think, makes you the better person. If someone calls you out and says that was such and such's idea, you say, well, brilliant, they thought of it before me, but I still made it.
Yeah, I've still done it, and I didn't know that. If I had known it, I would have said something, but I didn't know that. Because how many times have you guys thought of an idea and gone, wow, that's absolutely brilliant, and surprised yourself that you actually had the idea and gone, wow, I'm going to go out and try that. And then only after you have done it and, knock on wood, hopefully succeeded, did you find out that it's been done before, but you had no knowledge of it being done before. I've thought that I have reinvented the wheel. I can't tell you how many times in my life, only to find out afterwards that I did not reinvent anything, that it had already been done by somebody else. It happens all the time. It's a personal experience for me. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you guys are quiet. Maybe you guys have never done that, and you always reinvent the wheel. I mean, I don't know.
I reinvented the wheel, but I put loads of hexagonal holes in it.
Chris went to go out and reinvent the wheel, but he ended up making yard dice.
I made I made lemonade out of lemons. Thank you, Jamie. You don't need to.
I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to make a prediction here live on the show. on what the next fad is going to be.
All right, what's the next fad going to be?
The next fad is going to be concrete bowls.
Oh, because Anna started it.
Yeah.
Anna started
Or did she? Was it her idea?
Oh, did she?
No, Chris
Or
Fisher.
did she?
First.
No, he didn't.
No,
That was a breeze block. That was a thermalite breeze block, and actually Joe did it before Chris.
Yeah,
because Joe did a tombstone, didn't he?
yeah.
So it's actually Jesus's idea.
And Job back in Jesus' time did it before he. You know what? I think that we need to quit looking for. My opinion, guys. I mean, my opinion, and please don't get mad at me for saying just my opinion. My opinion is I think we need to get over worrying about who was the first, who was the second, who was the third, and just appreciate the fact that somebody got inspired to make something and go out and do something. Because I think that to the health of our community and what we do and how we do it, I think that's real important. When it moves into the business world, granted, different world, different story. But from where we live as hobbyists, YouTube creators, people, things of that nature, appreciate the fact that somebody was inspired to do something and they did it and they showed it to you, and enjoy it if you'd like, don't like it if you don't like it, but at least give them credit for getting out there and doing it. Because I don't want to put a cap on this community to where they feel like they're going to be afraid to do something they want to do because they're afraid that somebody's going to come down on them. And that our community turns into the Reddit world. You know, it's I don't want to see that. I understand what people are talking about, but how about we all take a chill pill as far as that goes, and just kind of appreciate each other and say, you know what, I don't care that he copied, because honestly, I don't care if I do something and somebody copies the exact same thing I did and they put out a video and their video gets 1 million views and I've only got, maybe 600. Well, then you know what? Somewhere along the lines, they did something better than I did. So God love them, and good for you for doing it. I mean, I don't even need credit for you guys doing it. I don't want anybody to say I was inspired by Chris. Screw me. Go do your thing. I don't care. But that's just my own personal opinion.
If it comes down to the point where people are either reluctant to do something because they think they might offend somebody, or people are making people feel like that, then yeah, that's just going to stifle everybody making videos, and it's going to stifle everybody making things. For me personally, if I see something, it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a product that's already on the market. I mean, I made a whole load of printed them today, some little Festool-y type knobs for thumb screws. Yeah, bite me. I made that. I put the graft in for that. I probably wouldn't have bought your product anyway. I made it, and I learned a load of other stuff as well. So if I would say to people, don't be scared of offending somebody, because it was my idea first. You're not allowed to do that. So what? Let the lawyers sort that out. Don't be scared. Don't necessarily pretend it's yours and make up your own fast tool company and take it to market, because I'm lazy. I'm not going to bother doing that. But don't be scared of making things, because you're just going to restrict yourself, and everyone's going to then restrict other people. I came up with this fantastic idea today. I reckon, right? If when woods are fairly, it rots and it degrades very quickly. Mm-hmm. Has anyone ever heard of metal? It's much harder wearing. I found out if you heat it up with fire and then hit it loads, you can turn it into other things. So from today onwards, right, I'm going to say, if you heat metal up and hit it really hard, you can turn it into other things that you can make. And that's my idea, and I've never seen anybody else do that.
You're forging joking.
I'm not forging joking, because I was we had a steak for tea tonight, and it was a nightmare to make into little tiny bite-sized pieces. So I'm going to make these implements that are going to allow me to make my dinner smaller and eat them as well out of heat.
You're going to get done. You're going to get done for fraud.
No. And the thing that my dinner was on and that I was sat on at the thing, I also invented those, including the question mark as well. So don't be going out there and making that stuff.
Richard's just in one of those moods.
The Red Smith,
just ignore him.
The Red Smith says it sounds like a dead art.
Yeah, it's pretty boring, really, to be honest. But I'm sure there's people out there that can make it look cool. And
I'm actually disappointed that I haven't seen reams and reams of feeds of wood-turned bananas. It's just not good enough.
I admit it. I think it's just time that we all start worrying about. Stop worrying about other people stealing our thunder and just do what we do and move on. Because if people appreciate what you do, they're going to appreciate it that you did it, and the scale that they appreciate it will be shown to you immediately, as opposed to somebody else. Which is why I said, if you want to do what I do and you can get 10 times the reaction from it than what I do, then go ahead. Because frankly, I don't give two F's about what kind of reaction I get on anything I do. It doesn't really matter to me. I don't care. I mean, so God love you if you can. So
can I just add though, if you do start getting a huge reaction to what you've just done, don't fricking tag me in it. Don't fricking tag me in it. I'm telling you, do not tag me in anything that you've made and you're getting a good response on, right? Don't do it.
Because I don't want the notification.
You've been warned. You have been warned.
So anyone listening still, any post you make, doesn't matter what it's about, at Temple Boy Turnings on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Don't forget, you can use the hashtag.
Hashtag buy a product saver.
Check it, Steve. Honestly, don't be scared. Don't be scared to see something.
Hashtag notify Steve. Notify Steve.
If it interests you, make it, because that could be the catalyst that moves on to something else. That could be a whole new idea. You could be the start of the next, wall clock with no hands, or whatever the thing is. If you can't be stifled through fear, I think is for me the take home on this.
Oh man,
there's nothing wrong with inspiration and working with it. Go and enjoy yourself, but just don't be an arse while you're doing it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
shop and make that first cut.
Yeah, thank you. And I pray that I inspire a few people. Because that's why we do what we do. Other than the fact that we're having fun and we're playing around and we enjoy our community. But I mean, the posts, I see this over and over again from people that are in our community, that within the YouTube creator world, that constantly say, these are the comments that I freaking love to have. And it's always the comments where somebody has been inspired by what they've done on YouTube and have done it themselves.
Do you know what, Chris? Do you know what? In response to that, I'd say screw the comments. I don't want the comments. I'd rather have the thing I've made that I was interested in enough to make it in the first place.
Well, you're a very antisocial person, Richard.
Honestly, what I'm saying is, don't make it for the comments. Make it for the thing you want to make, you want to have.
No, of course. No, I never make anything hoping for good comments. I mean, for fuck's sake, are you kidding me? I mean, it's like, no, but when out of the blue somebody gives you that kind of warm comment, that's the kind of thing that makes you go, God, that's why I like doing what I'm doing. Because every now and then that is the comment or the person's or the interaction that just means something, as opposed to the, hey, great job, Chris, or hey, nice product, or dude, your hair is too long, or
I like your feed. We should work together.
Yeah, we should work together. Oh my God!
I'm gonna wood turn a Viking shield because that's not been done before.
All right. Well, you know what? Good conversation, guys. Today, I don't know that we can beat this horse any deader than it already is, and I think we've all expressed our feelings on it. But
I get the best social media messages on the podcast. It's something about free nudes or something.
Don't share those pictures, Jamie. I really don't want to see them.
I don't know why Al from Al's Hack Shack keeps sending them though.
Jamie's nude.
Jamie, do you want to do Jamie's page now, or can I do my quick shout out and then have you do it? I tell you what, Jamie, if you got your
you can have it part of Jamie's page.
Get on with it then.
You can put it in Chris's corner. All right.
We're not doing Chris's corner. It's just not gonna happen.
All right, so
Chris is pissed.
Chris is pissed. Right, so my ones is our beloved sponsor Pam from Highland Boxes has just passed 10,000 subscribers.
God love her. Good.
So well done to well done, Pam. We've still got our Makers Rhapsody t-shirts going for sale at the moment, and there's still £20 discount or £20 off the checkout price for stickers. So if you're going to Makers Central, or even if you're not, you can get that. All links for them are over at the podcast website at makersinternationalpodcast.com. And speaking of Makers Central, that will be on May the 11th and 12th at the Birmingham NEC Arena, well, in Birmingham. And for more information on that, you can go to makerscentral.co.uk. So do you want to do Chris's Corner, Chris?
I don't want to do Chris's Corner, and I don't want to do Chris's Crevice.
That's just going to read that from the comments.
Chris's Crevice.
Chris's Box.
God, I don't really know. That just is not cool. But it is funny, and I will give you that.
Just next to Richard's Naughty Step.
That will very quickly become the Naughty Step. I don't want it for the comments. I want it for the step.
If we can do nothing, and because we obviously can never be professional, then we should at least, if you get anything from this, is you have to know that we can laugh at ourselves. And
Chris said Chris's crack.
Chris's crack. Yeah. Chris's crotch. Anyway, no, we're not doing that.
I've got one for Richard. Welcome to Richard's Copyright Corner.
I actually used to work in copyright in the pharma industry a few years ago. So yeah.
Oh, that explains it all. That's why you're robbing everything.
Rich's Writs and Rights. Okay, there we go. Wow. Well, I need to have a drink before I do this. Because I'm not very good at this, so I'm gonna give it a try. We have all seen some pretty bad things since the start of this year, and we're only 20 days into the year, 23 days, depending on when you're listening to this.
We're still talking about Chris's Crevice.
No, we're not. Actually, I'm trying to get serious, Richard. So if you please,
sorry. Oh, yeah,
shut the hell up. We've seen friends of ours in the community that have experienced house fires, lost everything they had. We've had friends of ours who have lost family and loved ones, and many millions of people saw the video on what's her name? I forget her name. Every time we talk about her, I forget her name. Whose brain tumor has come back. You guys, she makes the shitty robots. I'm sorry, guys. What's her name?
Oh, yeah, I know you're talking about.
I think everybody knows who I'm talking about, and I apologize for not remembering her name at the moment.
Simone
Gertz.
Simone Gertz, yeah. And the latest is a very good, personally, a very good friend of mine who had a child who underwent open heart surgery this morning, and we're talking about a 3-year-old child. And Steve, I know this hits home with you because of your work, and it hits home with me too because I just absolutely love kids. But anyway, all of these things that we've seen in these first 20 or 23 days of this year are things that we just kind of call life. I mean, honestly, guys, these things are going to continue to happen. All we can do, as far as I'm concerned, is do what we can. And this community is really good about that, is do what we can to help the people that are going through these things to get through it. So that they can see the brighter days, because there's going to be the bad days, the dark times, like, you know, a lot of people are seeing right now, but there's going to be good times ahead. It's the struggle to get from point A to point B that is where the community can really come in and help. And a very good friend of mine, and one of the most generous guys I know, Mike Murray, his daughter McKenna Murray is that child I was just talking about, that 3-year-old who thankfully Mike has updated us. His 3-year-old daughter, 3 years old, had to go through open heart surgery today. She had a kidney removed, and she had a tumor removed from her kidney that was leading up into her heart. And she's currently in the ICU of a hospital. And whether you pray or not, up to you. But they could use your support. I mean, if you can't do anything, then at least try to reach out and just let him know and let his family know that you care and give a shit, because, you know, this is a 3-year-old child. This is a man's daughter, a family's member, and they could never have anticipated this happening to them. It's just one of those things that all of a sudden, one day she was perfectly fine. The next day, doctor's visit, they discover something, and oh my God, here we go. There is a fundraiser from Mike and his family, if you guys are interested. And I know that this community gets GoFunded me to death, and to the point of excess, I think it's sometimes. But if there is ever a cause that if you can give to, then I would beg you to please donate what you can for this family, because they're undergoing some serious expenses that they did not anticipate. Yes, insurance is taking care of some of it, but my God, it's going to cost them an arm and a leg for what they're going through, and they could really use our help. And if you can't help financially, then at least help by letting other people know that may be able to help. So share the news, and let's do what we can for this family. I am very, very happy to report that McKenna came out of that surgery, and it appears that she's going to be okay. But as we all know, with kids that go through these kind of things, I mean, we're talking now only hours after she came out of surgery, and everything seemed good during the operation, and we hope that it will go good. But I wanted to let Mike know and his family know that we're thinking about him. And so if you can, help him out.
Yeah.
That's my shout out for today.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll fully support it. I've already put the fundraiser over in the live chat, and of course it'll be down in the description when the podcast gets released on Wednesday.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Right. So my shout out, it goes to Claire Mason from Making It Out of the Woods. She made a boom fox, which is it's a bit like a play on words. That's basically, she made a fox that's it's like the fox that's in her logo, but she made it kind of like a hashtag Jackman size. And she's done it quite cool. I think it's made out of MDF and wood, and she kind of filled the voids with expanding foam and all that sort of stuff, and then done a bit of carving, and then she basically shoved an Electra up its arse for its music. So yeah, it come out pretty cool. So yeah,
I bet it did.
So sounds like a foxy lady.
Yeah. So yeah, check out Claire from Making It Out of the Woods. She made a boom fox.
Yeah, Claire rocks. She makes some good stuff.
Yeah, she does.
What's your shout out, Steve? Do you have one?
My shout out is it's a bit different this week. It's the Corning Museum of Glass. They don't really need the subscribers, but I would tell you to head over and subscribe to them. They are a museum. They have some amazing glass pieces that they make, but they do a lot of 1 hour long and sometimes longer live shows where they're actually creating pieces of art from glass right there in front of you, and they explain in real detail on the process of what they're doing, the tools they're using, temperatures, glass types, everything to do with producing glass art. And it is an amazing thing to watch. I actually bumped into, I was looking on live feeds one night, and I just happened to see this thing come up, and I ended up not only watching the full hour and 20-minute live feed, but then going on and watching 2 more 1 hour past shows and it's just amazing watching what they can do with glass and what they can form. So it's the Corning Museum of Glass. They are amazing, and well done, guys, for a good YouTube channel.
I'm gonna have to go check that out. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah.
Awesome. Richard?
Sweet. Well, I've got a bit of it's a turning video this week, and it's from the channel. And if my phone will just, I forgot the channel's name. I thought I'd better.
That's unusual.
Tell you who it is. No, you'll see why I couldn't remember what it was, because you probably won't have heard of these people, because the channel's only got 11,500 subscribers. It is a Tatiana carving.
Only. That's more than me. It's more than Jamie. Choose your words wisely.
What I'm saying is that's not a massive channel, is it?
No, of course.
by comparison to, you know, but by comparison to the fact that this video has only been out 6 months and it has already racked up 1.6 million views. So you probably might have seen the video, but you probably didn't know the channel and may not be subscribed to it. Anyway, regardless of that, the reason this stuck out to me is it kind of, to my mind, makes a mockery of the gizmos and the gadgets and the camera guided jigs, etc., that are available for the wood turning lathe. Yeah, because this guy, he turns a lidded box, which is a sphere, on a lathe with nothing but a chuck, a jam chuck, no tailstock in sight, and he only uses 2 tools. And the 2 tools basically look like the spoon gouges.
Yeah.
So imagine a turning tool with a spoon gouge on the end, with like a little hook like that on the end, and a skew which looks like it's about a 3/4 inch diameter steel rod that's been ground to like a knife edge.
A razor edge, actually, because that thing must be shot. You know, and that the channel you're talking about, Richard, is I think it's pronounced Tantianka Carving. I tell you what,
it's a Russian channel.
Yeah,
most of the title is in Russian.
I'll throw the link out into the chat here in a second because you had sent it to me, and so let me do that. And for anybody who's listening on Wednesday or afterwards, it's going to be in the description. But for those that are watching live today, this is the channel Rich is talking about. Hey, because this is pretty freaking cool.
I mean, that's what stuck out for me. And also, there's no description, there's no tags, there's not even a thumbnail. It's just one of the 3 you get when you upload a video. So literally, the guy, in terms of, you know, the YouTube algorithm, has done nothing. But this video has racked up like 1.5 million views on a comparatively small channel, and there's no speech. It's just like mesmerizing to watch this guy turn a basically perfect sphere, which is with
a razor blade.
With looks like a spoon gouge and a harpoon. It absolutely is awesome, and it kind of puts things back into perspective to my mind, and that's why I'm picking that this week. Anyway,
is it a hook? Is it a hook tool?
It is a hook tool. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I didn't watch it. I didn't get a chance to see it. So.
Yeah, whatevs.
And I don't know kind of wood. It looked like he was turning basswood, but I don't know. It was very white wood, but man, that guy just went right. Anyway, very cool video.
Seriously cool. So yeah, that's my shout out. Is that anything else? Is there anything else?
I think we're good. We've got anybody who's interested. The gentleman who just left is going to be our guest next week. Steve House is going to be our guest next week. So you guys
in the house.
So you guys get ready to be Steve. Everybody get ready to say, and I'm Steve next week. So that's going to be our guest.
Absolutely. Wicked. We tend to, if we have a guest, to ask the guest to plug themselves. So we're only going to be a couple of minutes over. Do you guys want to plug yourselves, your own kind of channels, your individual ones, not just the podcast?
Not really, because anybody who's watching or listening already knows who we are. But so, I mean, unless, hey, look, I don't want to stand in the way. If you guys want to promote yourself, go ahead. But I'm fine. I'm cool.
Nah, I can't be bothered now. Now you said that.
all the links will be in the show notes afterwards, I'm sure.
There you go.
There we go. Wicked. So, go on then.
I was just going to say hashtag golden shower.
We'll wait for you.
DoubleBoyTurnings.com. Go buy a product saver. There you go.
Boom.
There you go.
Seriously, I'm really liking mine, Steve. I didn't think I would. I thought it'd be like I'm too clever to not drop shavings in my Yorkshire grip, and I haven't, to be honest. But I have used an awful lot less.
You know, and as soon as
Richard, is that a little bit of humble pie?
As soon as you say that, you jinx yourself, and you'll never let us know.
I haven't dropped shavings in my Yorkshire grip for weeks, probably because I haven't been out there.
Well,
yours got dust in it, mate.
Oh,
just a little shout out, just because he's a rock star. But Wayne the Woodturner did a little demo on a video that he just did of the product saver, he put the product saver into his lovely clean Yorkshire grit, and he turned it upside down, and he went thunk on the floor on the shavings, and picked it up. tapped it out, give it a wait, put it back in, and carried on. So you're a legend, because not many people would risk knackering up their Yorkshire grit. So thanks for that, Wayne. You're a rock star.
Awesome, Wayne. Proof of purchase. And Steve is wishing he thought of that and put a video out on it. Anyway,
I was going to, but I don't need to now. Thanks, Wayne.
Well, can you copy him? I mean, would he get upset?
Yeah, how would I stand there copying someone's video demonstrating my product? That's a head wreck.
Comments, do that.
There's a reverse screw in action right there. I don't know where to go with that. Richard, get us out of this.
Wicked. I think that pretty much just about wraps up this evening. So if you are not, please do go and subscribe to any and all of us. Be nice, you know. And feel free to comment and all the rest of it on the podcast as well, because we genuinely do like it when you get in touch. Massive thanks to everyone who is still here and listening. If you're not here and listening, we'll say what we like about you from now until next week, when we've got Steve House, Moonshine Metalworks, joining us on the show. So until then, you'll take care.
Have a fantastic week, everybody.
I'm Steve.
And I'm out of chocolate cake.
And we need to end this now.
Good.